I recently went to Vegas to check out Living Potential. I had a blast. I stayed with a couch surfer host, and this guy was pretty generous. He lent me his car for a few days, which was cool, and he had some cool gadgets like a Wi-Fi box that I could take around, and I had internet connection whenever I wanted. One thing I noticed about Vegas people that I talk to is that they are big talkers. Not all of them. There are a lot of cool people. There's a lot of name dropping and talking big, like saying that you can get this person hooked up with that. I talked to a few people that were born and raised in Vegas and they had never lived anywhere else, and few of them have traveled outside of Vegas, which I found quite amazing because Vegas is a whole world in itself. Bars are open 24 hours. You can buy alcohol around the clock and you can drink outside. Now, if you're not from Vegas, that is amazing and dangerous. The first few days I was in a constant state of hungover, tipsy. Because you can do this, parts of the city don't sleep. For example, the Strip, which is what Vegas is famous for. People I talked to were mostly servers and bartenders, and they either were born in Vegas or they came when they were young, and they have immigrant parents. So I talked to some Filipinos, I talked to a girl from Guam, I talked to some people from Mexico. The girl I met from Guam works at the Flamingo Hotel. She's a bartender. And she had been there since she was young. She had traveled for the first time outside of Vegas, and it was to Los Angeles. She was shocked that different businesses were not connected to one main business. In Vegas, you have your two big companies that own all the complexes. There are others, but the two main ones are MGM and Caesars. Within a complex, there is the casino, the hotel, restaurants, multiple restaurants, bars, cafes, shopping centers, bowling alleys, even a train system. A few of them have their own train system. That's incredibly expensive to maintain, and they're free. There's so much money in these businesses. First time she went out of the city was to Los Angeles, and she went bowling with a group of people, probably white people, because white people love that shit. She was shocked that the bowling alley was not connected to a hotel and a casino and a restaurant and a cafe and a bar. And, oh yeah, P.S. in Vegas you can buy alcohol anywhere. It helps make the desert heat a little easier to take in. So she was shocked that businesses were connected together. I was shocked that businesses were connected together in giant mega complexes. The first day, I was looking for a pool party. It was inside of a hotel. And little did I realize that these are mega complexes. So I go to a concierge and I ask him, where is X pool party? And he said, oh, well, do you see that Starbucks over there? So I looked past a few businesses, which were inside the hotel. There was like a slushy place and a bar, and then a clothing place, and then a bar. He's like, after that Starbucks, take a left, walk down the hall until you see another Starbucks, take a right, follow the signs, and it's the first pool. That is just so frivolous to me. Why do you have two Starbucks within 30 feet of each other in the same hotel? Because of the heat, I got exhausted by 5 o'clock every day. I'm an early riser and I take naps in the middle of the day, which I didn't get to do much because I had to transit. Transit in Vegas is very spread out. Vegas has a small local population, which is why transit isn't as comprehensive as one might expect in a big city. It seems like a big city, but that's because there are a lot of tourists and a lot of big buildings. Buses either run north-south or east-west. So to get anywhere, you're going to probably have to take at least 2 buses. You're going to have to go north-south and then east-west. And then you might have to go north-south again, or the other way around. I am used to walking. In Calgary, I take a combination of driving and transit. It's easy for me. I thought I could do it in Vegas. Turns out, a 17-minute walk feels like 45 minutes in Vegas because there's no shade and it's dry and extremely hot. A few times I didn't have water on me, which was a mistake. I wasn't staying in a very central location, so I had to go far to get anywhere that I wanted to go. I talked to locals, and apparently most people have cars, so I experienced the transit side for 3 or 4 days, and it was pretty brutal just because of the heat. I enjoy going on transit in big cities because you meet the crazies. There was one couple that came on the bus that were pretty drunk, and they had the most passive fight in the world. They forgot what they were fighting about, and they would start fighting about something else, and it was barely a fight because they were so drunk. And the guy would be like, well, give me your pants and I'll put them in the bag. And the girl's like, give me your shirt and then I'll give you your pants. And then they were talking about how to organize their belongings. And then He was like, I'm really embarrassed right now because you're making a fool of yourself. You're so drunk. She's like, I'm perfectly competent and coherent, actually. And then he was like, what's 33 times 7? And then dead silence for 30 seconds. Then he was like, it's 341, which is incorrect. She was like, yeah, I knew that. And then they started arguing about the math problem. I knew Vegas was chill because when I got to the airport, there was a security guard all decked out in his really official looking gear, leaning on his post, watching people go through the seatbelt maze. And there was one family who decided to go under the seatbelts because they wanted to bypass the maze part, which is understandable. And then he put the least amount of effort into finding words to give them directions as possible. So he goes, don't do that. And he kind of trailed off. And he just didn't give a fuck about his job and about the security there. Did a lot of research. I watched videos. I talked to locals. I talked to newcomers. It seems like Vegas is a very cheap place to live if you're renting or buying right now. But it's unpredictable. Vegas had a crash maybe 3 years ago, and the younger generation gambles much less. The older generation is holding onto the pockets tighter. That has driven the economy down a little bit. So now the big companies are focusing on the shopping and restaurants and venues side of things. And so there are a lot of new businesses popping up. So this might be a new chapter. I don't know if I would buy property there, even though it's really cheap, because it's so volatile. I'm not a huge risk taker. I take some risks. Rent is incredibly cheap. You can rent a whole house for under $2,000, even under $1,500. You can rent a room for under $500. However, wages can be low because you have competition from immigrants who will work for a lot less and work harder. I get the sense that if you're a freelance performer, you need a lot of energy. You need to have social media presence. I'm going to start exploring that. I'm not sure if I have the energy for keeping up with social media, and I don't have the technology for it at the moment. It is about connections. You need to be driven and you need to be aggressive. Anyway, I have to decide whether or not I want to move to Vegas. It seems to make sense financially. I have some connections down there, and there are some opportunities down there. But I'm afraid of the heat. If you have any tips or suggestions or moving stories or stories about Vegas, please let me know.